Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Priyanka Neela Krishnan Show. And today is episode 17, and our topic is AI wrote your code, nobody read it on vibe coding, slop squatting, and the review gap that nobody talks about. Let's get into it. Here is a sentence that would have sounded insane 5 years ago and is just true today. A large share of the code running your company was written by an AI, and no human has read it, not skimmed it, not approved it in a rush. Read it. So, that is the current state of coding in most of the companies. I am Priyanka Neela Krishnan. I'm an enterprise data security product leader, author of some of the security books, and a product management book. And this is episode 17 of Enterprise Security series, and the title is the whole thesis. The bottleneck in software used to be writing it, and AI removed that bottleneck. The trouble is, the bottleneck was quietly keeping us safe because writing slowly meant reviewing as you went. We spent good amount of time doing all of that. We sped up the writing and removed the reviewer almost in many cases. But even if that is reviewer, they are just approving it just for the sake of the process. That's the current state. Let me be fair upfront because I'm not anti AI and this is not a lecture about how the tools are bad. AI now writes a huge share of enterprise code. Cursor, Copilot, Claude Code, Replit, and the whole category. And the productivity is real. And I use these tools myself. But I want you to notice what changed underneath the productivity. Writing speed went up very dramatically. Review capacity stayed exactly where it was because you still have the same number of senior engineers with the same number of hours in the day. And the gap between what gets shipped and what a human actually read, like really read, that gap is not empty. That is precisely where the vulnerabilities live. And we can measure how much lives in that gap. Basically, because a lot of people have now studied it. The studies do not perfectly agree, but they all land in an uncomfortable range. Veracode tested AI generated code across more than 100 models and found 45% of it carried a vulnerability from the OWASP top 10 when it was reviewed without a human in the loop. The Cloud Security Alliance found security flaws in 62% of AI generated solutions. A 2026 study from AppSec Santa across 6 of the major current models put it at roughly 1 in 4 samples with a confirmed vulnerability. So, depending on whose methodology you trust, somewhere between a quarter and nearly half of what the machine writes ships with a known security hole. The machine writes insecure code confidently and it writes it very fast. Now you might say, well, a junior developer writes insecure code too. That is what review is for. True, but AI is worse than a rushed junior in 3 specific ways. First, it leaks secret at about twice the rate. AI assisted commits expose hard coded secrets, API keys, tokens roughly twice as often as human written code, about 3.2% versus 1.5. Second, it opens more doors. One enterprise analysis found AI generated code contained 322% more privilege escalation paths than human written code. And third, it repeats bad patterns at scale. SQL injection, unsafe deserialization, hard coded credentials, these are not new vulnerability classes. The difference is they now appear faster, spread wider across your code base, and are much harder to trace back to a deliberate decision. because no one decided. The model just pattern matched. And then that is my favorite. If favorite is the right word because it is such a clever and such a nasty attack, it is called Slopsquatting. And it works in 3 steps. Step 1, the AI invents a software package that does not exist. Coding assistants hallucinate package names all the time. The crucial part, they do it predictably, suggesting the same fake name over and over across different sessions. Step 2. An attacker, knowing the hallucination is repeatable, registers that exact invented name on a public registry like NPM or PYPL and fills it with malware in advance. Step 3. The next developer asks the AI for help. The AI confidently recommends installing the package. The developer runs the install command and pulls the attacker's code straight into the build. No phishing, no stolen credentials. The AI itself did the recommending. And the numbers make it viable. Open source models hallucinated non-existent packages in about 22% of samples. Commercial models around 5%, and over 40% of those fake names showed up again across repeated queries. It is systematic, not random, which is exactly what makes it exploitable. And this is in production right now, not in a lab. A firm called Escape.tech scanned 5,600 publicly deployed apps built with these AI coding tools. They found 1,000 highly critical vulnerabilities, 400 exposed secrets including live API keys and access tokens, and 175 instances of real personal data, including medical records and payment information. Real production apps, real people's data. Separately, Wiz found that 1 in 5 organizations using vibe coding platforms face systemic security risk across their applications. And the count of publicly tracked vulnerabilities attributed to AI-generated code jumped from 6 in January 2026 to 35 in March. 2 months, that curve is bending the wrong way. Now, you would hope your existing security scanners would catch all this. Mostly, they do not, because they were built for human bugs. 3 blind spots. First, hallucinated dependencies. Your scanner checks the code you have. It has no idea that the package the AI told you to install never legitimately existed in the first place. Second, semantic and logic flaws. The syntax is clean, so static analysis happily passes it, while the logic quietly authorizes the wrong person or trusts input it should not. The code looks right and does the wrong thing. And third, attacks on the coding agent itself. Poisoned configuration files and tampered rule files can turn the assistant against you before it writes a single line. The tooling was designed for a world where humans wrote the code. The authorship changed. The tooling did not keep up. So, here's the deeper point, the one I really want to land. The bottleneck in software was never typing, it was understanding. The hard part of engineering was never the keystrokes. It was holding the system in your head, knowing why each piece was there, understanding what could break. AI removed the typing and left the understanding behind. So now you have code that no human wrote, that no human fully understands, and that no human reviewed running in production. Velocity went straight up. Comprehension went quietly down. And you cannot secure what you do not understand. That is not a productivity gain. Speed without review is just debt. Debt you have not been billed for yet, but you will be. So, what do you actually do about all this? The mental model is simple. Treat AI generated code like a pull request from a stranger. Helpful, possibly brilliant, absolutely not trusted by default. 4 moves here. First, treat it as untrusted input. It is code from an outside party, not from a teammate who understands your system. Review it with that suspicion. Second, gate it in the pipeline. Static analysis, secret scanning, and software composition analysis running in your CI with no merge allowed without passing into the CI/CD pipeline. Make the gate the default, not a favor someone does. Third, pin and vet your dependencies. Block installs of unvetted or non-existent packages and use software composition analysis to catch Slopsquatting before the malicious package ever lands. And fourth, keep a human accountable. Every shipped change has an owner who actually understands what it does. The AI can write it. A person still has to be able to answer for it. So, let me bring it home now. AI did not make your developers worse. I want to be really clear about that. It made them faster than your ability to check the work. And those are very different problems. The productivity is real, so is the debt. When code gets generated faster than anyone can read it, you're not really shipping software. You're shipping unreviewed assumptions and hoping they hold. The fix is not to throw away the tools. It is to make your review and your provenance, knowing where code came from, keep pace with how fast it is now generated. So, here's your one question to take into work. Of all the code that shipped this quarter, how much did a human actually read? Not approved in a rush. Actually read. Whatever the gap is between that number and 100%, that is your exposure. The machine can write it. A human still has to understand it. Alright? I am Priyanka Neela Krishnan. I am an author of a few security books, namely Autonomous Data Security, Jailbreaking LLMs, and Problem Pioneering. If this was useful, please subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay secure, be happy. And by the way, everything here is my own opinion and analysis and not tied to or representing any employer. See you then. Until then, bye-bye.